Hello, everybody. Welcome. Thanks for being here. Nice to be back and connecting. So this particular video is going to be a form of my new newsletters. So I wanted to do it in video form. It will also be in email form, but it's going to guide my email peeps to here. So I want to just start out. Happy April. I know we're already a few days in, and curious, have you guys at all been reflecting on the changes, the transformations that took place from the last full moon, eclipse, equinox, right, to the new moon? And then the last few days, really up until the 6th, I think it was, we were still in that eclipse energy and portal. So I'm wondering if you've taken the time to track where you were at that full moon in March. And now we're coming into the full moon in April. What shifted? What changed? Were they small shifts and changes? Were they bigger shifts and changes? And were you connected through that portal to the deeper truth that we were in fact being transformed and in relationship, if we chose to be in relationship with those energies? So I'm going to talk a little bit about containers. I'm going to mention it today in the newsletter, but it's going to be another video or two. But when we're working with the planets, with the moon, with these energies, and with these cycles, these natural celestial cycles, then we get to literally co-create what it is we're letting go of and where it is that we are desiring to move. And that desire is going to be the most potent when you have aligned your body, your emotions, your heart, and your soul with your behaviors. Right? So everything needs to come into alignment when we're co-creating, and the co-creation is, in fact, refining when we come out of alignment, when we're up-leveling to a next expression of consciousness, when we're releasing the old and we've got new frequencies, higher frequencies that are anchoring in. Every time that happens, we get to realign. So I can say for me, it has been a doozy, and one of the things that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to just touch on in this little video letter, and I'm going to build on a little bit more. Is that we've talked about natural time and sacred rhythm, and the more that we enter into natural time, the less structure in some ways governs us. And this is going to depend on your blueprint. This is going to depend on, your blueprint, your design, what your mission is, what it is that you are here for. And so getting clear on that, understanding that more deeply is very important at this time, so that you know what your signature is, so that you can come into a fuller coherence with you and call all of you back into your center. And it allows this whole journey to go much smoother. So my design does not, let's just say, let's put it this way. My life does not require me to be plugged in very many ways at all to, we can say, the old paradigms or the 3D matrix. So what that means is that I operate much more within that new earth realm, and the 5D and those frequencies more. Doesn't mean I don't come in and I don't have to kind of struggle and wrestle with things to go back up. Go back up, expand. It seems like it's up. It's not that literal. So for me, I don't have a lot of scheduling. Let's put it that way. And because part of my mojo is to really honor what is the true expression that is showing up through my being moment to moment, means that I drop off the radar for periods of time. And that can be for a number of reasons. This section of time has been a deep recalibration, has been a very tumultuous in many ways because there were so many things clearing. But those things that needed to clear and those deeper awarenesses and old paradigms and shifts are now landing for this next level. And again, it's jumping to another octave of frequency, of co-creation, of reality. So the natural time and sacred rhythm, again, I have a whole class on it that's back in my library. It goes down probably a few years ago. Highly recommend you check that out. A lot of it is still really relevant. Some of it has probably shifted and changed as the paradigms have changed. The invitation is very much to understand what your true alignment is so that you gauge your coherent operation of natural time. Coherent operation. What do I mean by that? So that you're able to understand when, say you have a family, say you have a Monday through Friday or similar job, that keeps you in a structure of this 3D paradigm. So then understanding that is going to give you a window into how do you move in your own true rhythm within that structure, and how do you capitalize on your natural rhythm and anchoring that 5D frequency and consciousness, that new earth frequency and consciousness, that new paradigm into your life during the periods of time that you don't have structure. Okay, so we're going to talk more about that, but in a different video this month. But what I want to point out is that when we follow our natural time and our sacred rhythm, when we honor that, we have greater health and vitality. We enable our true essence and our authenticity. And when I say authenticity, I don't mean just how I'm showing up in the world, right? Can I be my authentic self? Well, we don't start being our authentic self gauged by the outside. We know we become our authenticity from deeply anchoring our true essence in our knowing and embodying that. So, right? So living from the inside out. Authenticity. We're going to be teasing some of these words apart this month as well. And then also, that keeps us in a divine communication. It keeps us open to the greater field when we are able to learn how to move in natural time and sacred rhythm. So that is that topic, right? My blueprint requires I'm going to be down for the count for periods of time. And then I revive, revitalize, rejuvenate, and are rebirthed, literally, rebirthed from the inside. So there's that. The second thing that I wanted to address is the world as we know it, that is dismantling, right, has a number of different components to it, and a number of different influences, so to speak, karmically, planetary-wise, galactically, the earth changes, our own individual shadows that are coming up to have to be seen. So all of that actually also holds intrinsically within any of those expressions the four elements of fire, water, earth, and air, as well as the polarities of the masculine and feminine polarities. We are made out, or we are made up of these polarities. We are the creation of these polarities. So part of what I am working with more and more, as many of you have noticed, right? We did the elemental journey in, I think it was February, I don't really remember, excuse me, but we did the elemental alchemy journey to begin to introduce us to our own inner elemental expressions and how we can start to learn to balance and harmonize them from within. Within the elements also, or within the masculine and feminine polarity, the elements are, and that is within the elements. So we can say that the subtle expressions of all of life are what is trying and succeeding, but the success we can't really see yet, of being unified. And as per the new paradigm that is landing of the new earth reality, all of these things need to be unified within. Our inner masculine, our inner feminine, our imbalances of energetic expressions of the elements. What are our dominant elements that we carry innately in our biology and in our design? Are they harmonized or are they not? If they aren't, they are going to create incoherence within us and then out into the field. We look around us and we see great imbalance of the majority of beings on this planet. They are not coherent, balanced, aligned, embodied, connected. And what we experience as all of the chaos is now the buildup of this. And for those of us who are doing this work, it just is becoming more and more imperative that we work with the subtleties within our own being. Balance that with what we do in the external world. And here's what I'm going to say. If you are more of an external person, meaning you're more outward, you're more active in the going and the doing and activities and absorbing information and stimulation, your job is going to be to pull yourself in and untether from some of that for a while and come into the quiet subtleties within. If you tend to be more of one who lives from the internal and is more deeply embodied and sensitized in that way, a little bit more of a hermit, right? A little bit more of a recluse who is already detached from the outer realms, your task is going to be to merge and marry the outer mindfully in ways that support a grounded foundation and move out to bring your balance. Your elemental expression is going to, illustrate some of this, as well as where are you in your balance of your inner masculine and feminine. So this is a new terrain. It's not new, but now it's coming more and more to the forefront. So we're going to be talking about that this month. So I just touched on this, the living from the inside out versus from the outside in. And I've been layering these in other videos, this paradigm, right? This shift in our consciousness and our evolution, because it's from the inside that we co-create our reality. So we're going to start working with different frequencies of words again. So many of you know that I have the embodied moments working with frequencies, light language, up-leveling your sacred technology through light language to access higher frequency states of being. And you can, those links for the activations are not really available yet. I'm switching everything to Patreon. So those are going to come up in the membership where you're going to be able to access those soon. However, we're still going to be breaking some of those things down, and the recognition that the things that we are wanting to make tangible in our world, right? Experiences that we're wanting to know in our world. Let's say success, right? We have a tendency, the old paradigm is I measure my success by what I'm getting or seeing from the outside. That is not success moving forward. That supported ego development. And now we're supporting our spiritual divine development, which means that everything comes from within. And so success, for instance, takes on a whole other frequency that is not divided by the outer and the inner, failure or success. All right? It is, wow, every time I get a new awareness, every time I go through a transformation, this is a deep success in coming more whole. It is a deep success in harmonizing my own inner reality. And then success, because we already know it and feel it and live it from within, becomes a natural expression of what we receive and see in the world. So the living from the inside out, we're going to keep building on this. So the last thing that I wanted to touch on in this overview is nothing is as it seems. And I've talked about this before, and I have just gotten another deeply, deeply powerful lesson in that over the last 6 months. It's been a very trying 6 months. It's been a really rewarding 6 months. It's been a really successful 6 months from the deepening, the expansion, and the more reclaiming of soul fragments that I didn't even know that I had left behind. And I think I've mentioned this a few months ago. And doing this deeper healing work through a container that I had no idea was going to render this much richness through a lot of challenge was the reminder in a bigger way of what I'd already been receiving through my teachings starting back, I think, last year. So nothing, this is going to tie in with the very last thing about containers. So our life, every situation, every relationship, every environment we're in, every circumstance is truly only, like, we think it's to achieve and do things in our physical world as the human. That is partly true. But what is becoming more true, right? We're talking about stages and phases of development and maturation, of expanded consciousness and awareness, and of merging and marrying dimensions. So every opportunity, which is what everything I just mentioned is for our human to come more embodied by our soul. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. This life, from this perspective, from a sacred embodiment perspective, from a spiritual evolution perspective of the ascension trajectory, is that we first begin pulling our soul back and embodying our soul, becoming more whole, becoming more grounded, more rooted, more authentic, more our essence, our soul essence. And our personality begins being absorbed by our soul essence, being purified and refined, okay, by our soul essence. And then what starts to happen is, as our soul becomes more into its power, we then become soul. And our humanness is held within our soul essence and presence, meaning we are held as the divinity that we are. All right, so this isn't literal necessarily. It might be. I haven't studied the science of it, and I think that, we all get different perceptions of what's true as we're going through phases and stages of development and greater awareness. So it changes, it morphs, it's always evolving just as we are. So nothing is as it seems. It's being able to begin recognizing that every circumstance is our soul seeking to heal our human, right? To remind and remember our humanness into its divinity. And now, part of what I'm going to be offering is that and I've already started with the journeys that we're doing, is that we're making conscious containers for intentional soul reclamation, embodiment, empowerment, connection to our divinity, to source, to the higher dimension expressions, to the evolution of the planet, to unifying all of the life that we are experiencing. So what I invite you to do is, if you have not yet, if you are not on my email list and part of my community already, thank you so much for being here, and I hope you subscribe. I hope this resonates for you, and all those fun little things, right, in this physical realm that we do in order to support reaching people who resonate. So if you're new, please go to my website and take a peek. And the blog will hold more information as different classes come out, as different journeys come out, and you will be notified then if you subscribe. If you want to be on the email address or on the email list, then please, send me a little note in the contact and send me your name and your email address, maybe even a little bit about yourself. That'd be great. The sessions that I'm doing primarily right now are 60-minute light language activations where we're working in a container of your intentionality of what it is that you are feeling called to align with: body, mind, heart, and soul, and behavior. Okay? To co-create the reality that your blueprint is calling forth. So those are 60 minutes, and I have a sliding tier pricing, and I'll list that below. The second way that my work is going to be moving forward more is those of you who feel called to work with your own divine masculine and feminine inner marriage, inner alchemy, inner balancing, harmonizing, and creating a container, right, to go deeper into that and understanding more and more why. And I'm going to do some videos on this as well. Why is moving from our imbalance, masculine, feminine, into our sacred masculine and feminine, right? And what the difference is, into the divine masculine and feminine. These templates are landing. And there is a deep, profound need for us to be balanced inside, for us to become balanced in sacred partnership, and how that is going to affect these polarities on this planet. So that is also the direction that I am moving in. That, please reach out to me on my website as well, and send me a note, a little bit about why you're interested in that, what speaks to you about that, and then we will connect. I'll reach out to you and we'll connect and see what that looks like moving forward. All right. So with that, I am going to sign off. Thank you for being here. And I look forward to going deeper in these topics. So please stay tuned. And then hopefully in May, I'm going to begin a Patreon. So you will know more about that as well throughout the time until I do that. All right. So many blessings and much love. Have a beautiful spring day, night, whatever that is. And we have the full moon coming up. We are already in the full moon energies. So let's ride that consciously, right? Feel into it. Commune. All right. Oh, that's right. Communions. I'm sorry. How could I forget? There is an offer up for the Essene communions that are going to start April 19th through the 25th. And I'll do another little video on that, but I almost forgot to mention that. It's up on my site. It's featured, it's the featured blog. All right. Bye.